Thank you, Ms. Clarke. Mr. Cohen.
Thank you for coming before this committee, and thank you for your work and dedication to seeing that the Constitution is properly protected and that people are given the rights that are extended therefrom. Can you tell me some of the things that you've done and the Justice Department has done to improve cities' capacities to fight crime, which is a serious issue in this country today, and particularly in my city, Memphis, Tennessee?
Yes, thank you for the question, Congressman. Public safety is an important priority for the Justice Department and for our Attorney General. My colleagues in the criminal division, a sister component, recently launched an initiative in your city of Memphis to deal with violent crime. While I can't speak to that initiative, what I can assure you is that this Justice Department is committed to partnering and working with jurisdictions and officials to ensure public safety.
And that's a national program that started in Houston and is going to go to other cities as well.
I believe that's correct.
Thank you. And I appreciate Memphis being in a red state. You're coming and helping us with this great problem. Civil rights enforcement and the Voting Rights Act and the Americans with Disabilities are three of my major issues. What exactly is the Department of Justice doing to enforce the Voting Rights Act? I know we've seen some actions in Alabama and in Louisiana and maybe in another one of the southern states. What have they done there, and on disability rights as well?
So, Congressman, I started off my career at the Justice Department as a voting rights lawyer, and what I can assure you is that the Civil Rights Division remains steadfast in ensuring that we're using the Voting Rights Act, National Voter Registration Act, Help America Vote Act, the Uniformed and Overseas Citizens Absentee Voting Act to ensure that every eligible American has voice in our democracy. We are filing lawsuits. We are filing statements of interest in third-party lawsuits to help guide the courts on the appropriate interpretation and application of the law. We're issuing guidance documents and more, but we are without one of our most powerful tools given the suspension of the Section 5 preclearance provision following the Shelby County, Alabama versus Holder ruling.
And on disabilities?
Enforcement of the ADA is a hallmark of our work in the Civil Rights Division. Every day we're working to ensure that people with disabilities have access to jobs, housing, and we're also very mindful of the barriers that people face when it comes to web access. And so again, through litigation, through guidance, through technical assistance, and providing service to the public by way of ADA.gov and more, we are fighting to stand up for people with disabilities across our country.
That's so important, to give everybody an opportunity to have a full life and not to have some accident of nature or disease be an impediment to that, and the Justice Department's actions are great. Section 5 was eliminated by the Supreme Court. Section 2 is alive and has been used and used well, even though sometimes it's late and it takes time. Now there's an argument in the Eighth Circuit where they ruled that only the government can bring a case under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Have most of the cases that have been brought under Section 2 been brought by individuals or by the government? And if it does come out that that is upheld by the Supreme Court or ruled that it's a proper interpretation of the Voting Rights Act and the Constitution, what will that do to the voting rights enforcement in your division?
Yeah, while the Justice Department takes seriously its obligation to enforce Section 2, no doubt private parties, nonpartisan organizations have played a central role. Supreme Court precedent, legislative history, and decades of work in the courts have long made clear that private groups enjoy a private right of action under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. We weighed in this case in the Eighth Circuit and will continue to watch very closely what's playing out here.
Most of the cases brought under Section 2, have they been brought by the government? Have they been brought by private litigants?
The raw numbers probably show that the sum total of work by private groups has been larger.
Private attorney generals.
That's right, and nonpartisan organizations. They absolutely have played a critical role working alongside the government to ensure that every eligible American has voice in our democracy.
Thank you very much. And while I know your shoes are more difficult to walk in than John Lewis's, you were walking in John Lewis's shoes. And I hope at all times you will remember that and continue to enforce voting rights. I yield back the balance of my time.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen.